Hello, this is Chris Pope with Deeper Root Spiritual Ministry. So glad you could join us today. We're in Job, lesson number 13. God speaks of nature. And we're in Job 39, 1 through 30. Now, I love eagles and hawks. I always have. My dad was a big eagle. He loved eagles. Of course, the eagle is a symbol of America. Hawks, they're very beautiful, majestic creatures. It's amazing to see them. I'm a lot more around hawks where I live than I am eagles, but we do have eagles here too. And it's so beautiful to watch them fly. And be kind of honest with you, I'm glad there are not a lot of windmills around here, the big fan things, because I know it kills a lot of hawks and a lot of eagles because I just love those kind of birds. And I'm so glad that we can have them here and they're so beautiful. And God's beautiful creation is so amazing. It's such a gift that God gives us. And it's a precious gift. It's a fragile gift too, to respect them and to understand what goes on with these beautiful creatures, amazing eyesight, amazing thought process, just really amazing. One of the houses that I lived at, I had a hawk that lived behind me, and I'd watch the hawk go back and forth and do its hunts and everything else. And I really, really enjoyed that. So we're always in the New American Standard Bible, edition 2020. Again, Job 39, 1 through 30. Let's start off verses 1 and 2. And it says this. And again, God is speaking. So God is talking about all this amazing creation and how wonderful it is. And it says this. Do you know the time and the mountain goat gives birth? Or do you observe the calving of the deer? Can you count the months when they're fulfilled? Do you know what time they will give birth? All the details of creation, God is, again, he's trying to get Job and his friends. I think they all heard this to me. And he's trying to broaden their aspect of how they look at God. That I'm not limited to things that you're boxing me in on, that I created. Look at the details. Look at the things that I'm doing all around the earth and how much detail I have with them. And I know these things. Do you know them? Do you know how it happens? Do you know how it occurs, Job and his friends? And we're left without answers because we don't. And it says in verse 3 and 4, they kneel down and deliver their young. They get rid of their labor pains. Their offspring become strong and they grow into the open field. And they leave and they do not return to them. And isn't that beautiful how God makes these beautiful creatures? You know, I'm much more exposed to deer than I am to goats or mountain goats. And, you know, I've been around them a lot and I've seen a lot of deer in our area. I live in the Southeast and, you know, we have deer. I know I've seen little fawns running and, you know, we have a nature trail that we really like to go on, and we just really enjoy seeing the deer, and we're big hikers. So anytime we get a chance to enjoy the deer, enjoy the fawns, you know, when they're going and they're growing, and it's just amazing how that all works. And God says in verse 5 and 6, and who set the wild donkey free and opened its bonds for the swift donkey, to whom was given the wildness of his home and the salt land for his dwelling place, to even carve out the donkeys and how they live life and how they do things in the wild. You know, yes, a donkey is the domesticated creature, but it's also wild donkeys. And, you know, in the Southwest in the area of the country, and they have wild horses out there. And down on Cumberland Island, I think it's Cumberland Island here in Georgia, we have wild horses that have just been left there and they just are wild. Nobody does anything for them. They just do their cycle, do their thing. They're totally left to their own to survive and to deal with their things that they do. And it's amazing how God sets everything up and he makes it right. And it's easy for him in the sense of he is God. He knows how he made all the creatures individually, the uniqueness to them, that even the genetic code itself is mind blowing, but for each creature group and each species within that creature group, and how he does it all, and just the complexities of his thought process. He's like, were you here when I was doing these? Do you get it? Do you understand what I do and how complex the things I do? It says this in 7 and 8. He laughs at the turmoil of the city. He does not hear the shout of the taskmaster. He exposed to the mountains in his pasture. He searches after every good thing. And God is saying, look, yeah, you domesticate donkeys, but also I take care of them where they're out in the wild. Just like those wild horses down on the island. I take care of those. I can handle that. That's easy. I'm God. I design things within them to take care of themselves and to make a way where there is no way. Because that's what God does. He makes ways where there is no way. Verse 9 and 10 says this, and then the wild bull, willing to serve you, or will spend the night at your feeding trough? Can you tie down the wild bull in furring ropes? And will he plow the valleys for you? If the wild bull is out there, he's not domesticated, he's not in control, and you're not in control of him, and he can do whatever he needs to do. And I've got him to survive and be able to overcome. And we look at things, we say it has to be on our terms. And God's like, you can't really control the wild animals as well. Yes, you can domesticate some of them, you can pin them, but they're still very strong animals. In my time, I've been around cows, I've watched bulls, and the strength of a bull is a lot different than a cow, and just amazing to watch it. And again, I'm a city boy, so I didn't grow up around a lot of livestock, but I've been around enough to see it for myself and be amazed at the size of some of them and how it looks. And verse 11 and 12 says this, will you trust him because of his strength is great? Will you leave him to his labor to him? Will you have faith in him that he will return to the grain and gather it for you to the threshing floor? Will he do it on his own if he's not domesticated? No, he's very independent. He's fiercely independent. He wants to make his own ground and make his own decisions and be free. And yes, man can get him in, box him in and do things, but he loves the freedom. I know I've lived here a long time, and I've heard of cows escaping out of fences and stuff, and they love to go free. And I've loved cows even with barbed wire, sticking their neck through the barbed wire, and they'll eat grass on the other side, and they got plenty of grass on that side, but they want that particular grass, and they go through the barbed wire or whatever, the electric, and they're just doing it. They're doing their thing. And it's amazing how animals are and how God's created them all and how they're so unique and so wonderful, how God made them, how special they are to him. And every insect, every bird, everything that he creates, he just delights in so much, in the trees and the creation of it all, and just the rhythm of it all, and the songs that they all have is so beautiful. And so at 13 and through 15, it says this, and the winged ostrich flaps joyously with its pinions and its feathers of love, and she abandons her eggs in the earth and lets the dust warm them. She forgets that a foot may crush them, that a wild animal may trample them, and she's not as wise. She's not, she has birth and she has young, but then she goes about her business. She forgets them. So it says in 16 through 18, and she treats the young cruelly, as though they are not hers. Though she labors for nothing, she's unconcerned, because God has made her forget wisdom and has given her the share of understanding. And when she rushes away on high, she laughs at the horse and the rider. She just is a carefree life. And again, God is so wise how he explains things to us. He takes a very unique creature and talks to us about the ostrich and how the ostrich lives its life. And he allows it to lack wisdom and understanding because he's God, and he helps them survive, yes, and still thrive, but not all creatures have the wisdom and have the understanding of things and have that depth of knowledge to take care of things. But there's still ostriches here that grow up in the wild, and they take care of themselves. And it's amazing how man keeps on thinking, I need to interfere, and yet God has all that taken care of. It is so beautiful how he is. And it goes from there to 19 and through 20. It says this: do you give the horse his might? Or do you clothe his neck with a mane? Do you make him leap like a locust, and his majestic snorts are frightening? Do you do that, Job? Were you there to make that horse, to create that horse in the majesty of a horse and the power of a horse? I mean, I've been beside horses. There's some tall animals, and they're strong, and they're very aware. And, my wife used to raise horse and had a horse, and, their sensitivity to things and the way they are, even though they're beautiful and majestic and they're strong, they do have fears and they do react to things, and they can tell. She said they can sense if the rider is nervous or not, and how they feel, and the emotions can transfer to the horse. And it's just amazing how God makes the horse. And it says in 21 and 23, he paws the valley. He rejoices in his strength. He goes out to meet the battle. He laughs at fear from afar and is not dismayed. He does not turn back from the flash, he does not turn back from the sword. He's fearless. That's amazing, isn't it? That throughout history, we've had horses in combat, and even with cannons and everything else. And, they charge in with their rider. The rider and the horse become one, and they are a fierce duo that can do things. It's really amazing how majestic God has made them. And it says in 23 to 25, the quiver rattles against him, and the flashing spear and the javelin, and he races over the ground with roar and fury. He does not stand still when he hears the sound of the trumpet. As he goes with the sound of the trumpet, he says, aha! And he sees the battle from afar, and with thundering captains and the war cry, and he charges forward fearlessly. And again, God, not that he's setting us up, but he's getting us ready, and he's getting Job out of his box of, why me? To who are you, God, who can do all of this? And I'm so hung up in my world, in my calamity, in my catastrophes. The one who I'm petitioning, the one I'm talking to and praying to and sharing with. You do all of this, Lord. In all its complexity, you've got all of this. And here I am, God, and I'm crying out, why should I even been born? Job laid every excuse before God and all of this, and God made a way where there is no way. And God has done it all, and he reaches to us, and it's so beautiful to me. Again, I started out with eagles and hawks because I really like eagles and hawks a lot. And in 26 and 27, it says this: and by your understanding, the hawk soars. It stretches out his wings towards the south. Is it by your command the eagle flies on high and makes it nest on high? Job, did you make the bird with hollow bones so it can fly better, and how it flies and its wings and how it does what it does, and give it the eyesight that it has? And Job, did you do any of that, Job? Because next we'll go into Job's answer, and he begins to answer God. We really understand who we are. And again, we need to remember who we're talking to, who God is. And if God can deal with all of these things, he's just given a few examples to us. And it gets down to creation itself that just does it work. And in closing, it says this in 28 and 30. So he dwells his nights on the cliff, the eagle does, on the cliffs of the rock, inaccessible places. From that, he tracks food. His eyes look from afar. His young ones lick the blood greedily. And where the slain are, he is. They're powerful creatures. powerful creatures. And they see from such a distance that we can't even see. And it amazes me all that God does, and the complexity of each creature and the uniqueness of each creature he made, and why he made them and how he made them to work with all other things and these circles of life that he makes in creation. And he balances everything out and he makes it all work in harmony. And the only time it really gets messed up is because man jumps in there and tries to do it his way. And he messes up environments or messes up things. And he gets in God's way, actually. And then we wonder why the hawks and eagles get killed on these huge turbines that are all over the country now. And saddens my heart. To be honest with you, I think it saddens the heart of God because we abuse his creation. Because we miss the point of us being good stewards of what he's made for us. And again, I love creation. I love what God has created. I respect it greatly. I think we need to be careful what we put in our waterways. I think we need to have a lot of things that we do not to pollute and hurt and harm things. And I love what God has created, and man has been given stewardship of it, and he expects us to be stewards of it, but he expects us first to understand that, as Job said, the why, God, am I going through this? Really, it's the who. We're about to transfer into what Job says next. And he steps back from his why questions. He turns to God and says, this is who you are, God. I trust you, God. You see, that's what the tests are for us to truly trust God. Because if he can handle all these other things, he can handle our things that we're going through and our test. And he wants to know, are you going to trust me or not? That's what God is asking us. Do you trust me? Because it's not by our might, not by our power. It's by the Lord. It's by the Spirit of the Lord. We do all things. Remember, God loves us so much. So much. And if he can handle all creation, from the cosmos to the smallest creature on the planet, a little algae or whatever it is, or, the smallest things, he can handle all our other things. This is Chris Pope. God bless.